We are live.
Yay! I am Adwd, and he is.
Richard York, Asher's Trueborn son, and this is Dance 71, Daenerys 10, the final chapter. Then there's an epilogue, of course, but
All phrase laws are in effect. Spoilers ahead. If you haven't read the chapter, you're in the wrong place. Go read it, then watch.
yep. And as I was saying, I'm not sure what we're doing here. Now, what I mean by that is what I mean by that is if you want to cover like all the things that are being said to Dany, but we like the Green Bard's interpretation that Drogon is saying these things to her in her head, or as LML would say, dragon dreams come from dragons, except she's kind of awake and having something similar here.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's I missed the last chapter. If you don't know what happens, Dany's wandering around and remembering her fleeing, and she sees a scout. She doesn't actually kill the. I keep forgetting that she doesn't actually kill the scout or the scout's horse. What she does is she goes past the scout she flies past the scout to the Khalasar. One of the horses falls behind. They burn it. It keeps running while it burns. Drogon breaks its back and they eat. And then whichever cow it is that's of the two, that the one with the blood rider, blood rider that she hates. What should I said here? Sorry, I gotta jump down the bottom here. Cal Jago found her when half 100 mounted warriors emerged from the drift and smoke. So as I said, that's the summary, but there's a lot here. It's hard not to wind up reading like half this chapter if we try and analyze it in depth here.
I think do the best we can. I don't know. We got to read it. All right. If we got to read a paragraph, talk about a paragraph, then.
All right. So she has the beginnings of a fever early on, which.
Oh, hold on. We can do that.
Oh yeah, let's go through these things. Happy Friday, everyone. Won't be able to watch, but hello. Thanks, Deck of Cards, for stopping by. Good evening, everyone. It's Kirsty. So I said, yeah, it's kind of hard not to read this whole thing because there's so many interesting things about going on and things being said, but at least the second half especially. Yeah. So she has to begin with a fever early on. It is certainly important that how much time she spends calling this Dragonstone, because I think some people forget that to Dany this is Dragonstone, right? She had no memories of that Dragonstone, but she would not soon forget this one. She knows the lore of home. She talks about how she can find. Everything will flow down into the Skahazadon, which will flow down to Slaver's Bay. So if she can just find anything and follow it down, she's gonna watch. She thinks she can get back to Slaver's Bay.
Follow the water. I got a question.
Yep.
It said the dragon lords of Old Valyria had controlled their mounts with binding spells and sorcerous horns. Other than Euron, is this? How many times have we heard about these horns?
That's Old Valyria. I don't think we have heard much about them, but that's Old Valyria. That's not what the Targaryens did.
Right. Old Valyria.
Right.
But I'm just asking, is this? I mean, other than Euron, have we heard mention of these?
I don't think so.
Anywhere else? Okay.
In the World of Ice and Fire, probably.
All right.
I think the World of Ice and Fire talks about them, and Euron talks about them, and Dany talks about them here, and I think that's about it.
Okay.
You can verify that if you really want to, but I'm pretty sure that's right.
Oh, no, go ahead, man. I can look it up. I got my tablet.
Anyway, she would sooner have returned to Meereen on dragon's wings, to be sure, but that was a desire Drogon did not seem to share. And of course, George, if George tells you something's going to go one way, it's actually going to go the other. So she's going to be, mounting and riding, shouting for Drogon, and then riding him, and by the end of this chapter, right? So,
yeah.
Yeah, he keeps going back. Her home was back in Marine with her husband and her lover. She distinguishes between her husband and her lover more explicitly later. If I look back, I am lost. I think that appears twice in this chapter, maybe. So these words were seeds intended to grow into Dany losing her mind, or at least herself. But George has said that he finds himself writing away from the ending of the show. So it could be that just because he plants seeds doesn't mean that they're going to necessarily grow, right? Memories walked with her. I found that line kind of interesting. She talks a lot about how great it is to fly and how she do it all again and so forth. It was time, though. She was a woman grown, a queen, a wife, a mother to thousands. She had to don her crown again and return to her ebon bench in the arms of her noble husband. His star, the tepid kisses.
What's that?
His star of the tepid kisses. I just like the line. Dany's clothes were hardly more than rags, offered little in the way of warmth. One of her sandals had slipped off during her wild flight from Marine, and she left the other by Drogon's cave, preferring to go barefoot rather than half-shod. So there's a Sansa parallel there, right? That she lost one of hers as well.
Yep.
And arguably those are it's Cinderella, right? Cinderella with the glass slipper. Anyway, pardon me. Hers has been a lonely sojourn, and for most of it, she'd been hurt and hungry, strangely happy. What does it matter when you can fly? I would do it all again. I mentioned that already. Oh, Jiqui and Eerie would be waiting atop her pyramid back in Marine, she told herself. And anyone who watches our channel should never confuse these starkly different characters. I'll just do it real quick here, right? Eerie is a four-letter word that starts and ends with the same vowel. She looks like a boy, and the only feminine skill when they're dividing the feminine skills of their culture, the only one that she's more qualified to teach is horseback riding. Jiqui is a longer name that starts with a consonant where the last and fourth to last characters are the same vowel that are the beginning and ending of Eerie's name. She looks, she's busty, and she's more qualified to teach all of the feminine skills except for horseback riding. So we're specifically supposed to realize that these are starkly different characters, and I mean that both because they're starkly different and because they are supposed to be reminding us of the Starks. And so Jiqui is supposed to be the Sansa character, and Eerie is supposed to be the Arya character, and that should be easy to keep apart.
George is trying to keep reminding us of starkly things in Dany's chapter.
That's true too. That's also true, but people are like, oh, it's George doesn't do a good job of distinguishing the Dothraki, and I can't tell them apart. And the number of people that confuse these two, and I'm like, I don't know how we can make them that much more different. Anyway.
Yep.
Her sweet scribe is Sunday as well in all her little pages. Sadly, the pages and cupbearers are probably going to be dead. As we said, that's been foreshadowed, and we know that Barristan is leaving, and Skahaz is going to be alone with them, and that's probably not good for their life expectancy.
Right. So basically, the Great Pyramid is Skahaz and the Brazen Beast in their control only.
Yep. One morning, she found some wild onions growing halfway down the south slope, and later that same day, a leafy reddish vegetable that might have been some queer sort of cabbage. Aside from that, and one fish that she caught in the spring-fed pool outside of Drogon's cave, she survived as best she could in the dragon's levees on burned bones and chunks of smoking meat, half charred and half raw. So I'm impressed that she caught this fish, and she mentions this again later.
Mm-hmm.
One day she kicked at a cracked sheep's skull with the side of a bare foot and sent it bouncing over the edge of the hill. And as she watched it tumble down the steep slope toward the sea of grass, she realized she must follow. There's some Brantham leaping hidden fingers divine intervention.
Oh, yeah.
grass was dying. Daenerys was no stranger to the Dothraki Sea. Seen it when she was a girl, newlywed to Khal Drogo. I was full of hope. So Jorah had been with her then, or gruff old bear, Iri and Jiqui and Dorea. Going to name him Rhaego. Not since those half-remembered days in Bravos, when she lived in the house with the red door, had she been as happy.
Yep.
Okay. Ko Pono named himself Cal Pono and took many riders with him and many slaves as well. Ko Jacko, which is obviously the one out here, named himself Cal Jacko and rode off with even more. Mago, his blood rider, raped and murdered Aroa, a girl Daenerys had once saved from him. Right. So, and she specifically promises that he's going to that the two of them are gonna be much worse off than Aroa was.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't feel too what's the word? I feel sorry for the Dothraki that come up upon them. Granted, Dany is exposed, but I mean we're told how hard his scales are getting. And if they're not prepared, his dragon fire can come pretty damn quick. And I asked myself, I wonder, like, why did the George stop this book on this chapter? And it dawned on me, he can't do another Dany chapter after this because it gives too much away. And he can't start the battles in Marine and stop at one that starts the battle and then pick up with the battle.
Yeah, so it's about ending each character arc and so forth, and trying to find. And that's part of why he's having problems with Winds. Is he's written enough to be a whole book, but he doesn't release something unless he's got most of the characters go executing through a plot that makes sense within the book, right?
Yeah.
And so the other thing that's kind of interesting is one of the things you said there. There's a bunch of characters that he can't release the sample chapters for, right? There's Dany, Melisandre, John, Sam,
Ghost,
or Ghost, if you want to do that instead of John, sure. Anyway, the point is, whereas if you were to take, and people have complained that it looks like he's still in the slow pace of a book, but as I've mentioned before, if you look at the first chapter or two of each POV in A Storm of Swords, there's maybe one which I think is Sam, that isn't basically reminding you of their story to that point and spending the first chapter or two of each one, like reminding you where you are, what's going on in the story around this character and so forth. Yeah. And so it's interesting to me that you're in a situation where you can't even release the chapters for several of the characters because it would give away. Oh, John Cunnington, we forgot.
Yeah.
So
I would laugh if Ghost's chapter is actually named the White Wolf.
Okay. Or the Quiet Wolf.
Well, I mean, in the show they called Jon Snow the White Wolf and all that, but I mean,
okay.
Now with the Quiet Wolf, that would be the Shy Wolf was Ned. So okay.
Yeah. So anyway, so the next thing anyway, my point is that the fastest paced book has slow pace for the beginning of the characters, with basically the exception of Sam, who wasn't even a character before, POV before that, and so it's ridiculous that people are saying that Winds of Winter is going to be this slow book, clearly, and I'm like, I wouldn't read too much into the first chapter or two from each POV.
Well, one, he could skip all the reminder. The fans have read the books and read the books and read the books. They're ready to pick up.
Well, he's not going to do that. That's the same thing as like Preston was saying, when people are like, well, why doesn't he just release what he's got now? And it's just because he doesn't release a book unless it's got story arcs. So he can't do that, right? He's not he's not willing to put his name on a book that doesn't have story arcs that he's satisfied with. And
right, I wonder if the looming Dream of Spring, knowing that he is running
that
out
too.
of
That's Elio's. What Elio said is that he believes, and he says he hasn't talked to George about these things when he makes these kind of statements about, because he doesn't want to. He tells George that he doesn't want to be spoiled for anything, doesn't want to discuss future books like that. But he says the same thing. Yeah, the problem is George wants to not only just have these story arcs, but he wants to set himself up to finish the series.
Right.
So anyway,
the looming end of pages is going to quicken the pace on the story to try to get.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Is I would not read so much into people are like, oh well, the last two books have been spinning the wheels in the storylines. I'm like, that just and the sample chapters indicate that he's still doing that. I'm like, no, the sample chapters don't indicate that. They indicate that he's writing them to be released as the first chapter of that the first chapter or two of that POV, which is what he does in the first chapter or two of each POV. But anyway,
yeah.
So I want to talk about the fire, Dany being completely on fire. So Fair Daenerys, who called herself the mother of dragons, we saw her burning that day in the pit. Even she was not safe from the dragon's wrath, is what the Green Grace told us, right?
Right.
And she says, the fire burned away my hair, but elsewise it did not touch me. It had been the same in Daznak's pit. That much she could recall, though much of what followed was a haze. Although she talks about the burns on her at the beginning of the chapter, she's saying that she too saw herself completely covered in flame there to the point where it should have killed her and didn't. Right?
Well, it's not complete because she still has some clothes.
True. But it had been the same in Daznak's pit. So she's saying that it just burned away her hair and it didn't kill her. Burning away all your hair, fire that's surrounded you to the point where it burns away all your hair, kind of should kill you.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's something I find interesting because George has said that it was a one-off event and so forth and a miracle, but it sure seems like maybe it's more than a one-off event. Now she did take some burns.
Yeah, with Dany, I don't think the typical.
Oh yeah, I'm not claiming the Targaryens all have the magic power to resist fire. I'm just saying it does seem like she did have this happen twice now.
Okay. All right, for anyone that has not watched A Night of Seven Kingdoms, especially was it the next? I think it's the next last episode where they have the 7-on-7. Skip like 5 minutes or go away, get a drink or something. I want to say something here. In that, we see, give me time to leave or turn the volume down. We see Dunk drop, right? His eyes are open. He is not breathing. Okay. And then we get you got Egg screaming, get up. And then you got Sir, oh my gosh. What was his from Penny Tree, Sir Arlen?
Sir Arlen, yeah.
Tell Dunk to get up, and his eyes, I mean, he just breathes in real hard, like he just came back from life to life. I think he dies. And the powers that be that are playing this game that need him alive,
okay.
him alive. And then also you have the Maester looking at his wound and basically looking at it and saying something to the point where it's going to kill him. And then you get the Lord Baratheon going, oh no, he doesn't know what he's talking about. I think that was true also. They have.
So, for example, if the Sons of the Harpy wasn't in the main series very much, and they're trying to, we've mentioned that most of the things that House of the Dragon does that are dramatically different from what people might expect are references to the main series that didn't get into Game of Thrones.
Mud breather.
Mud breather. So we mentioned that we've mentioned this many times, but you're saying that that's also something that's going on with United of the Seven Kingdoms. That
I
they're
think
doing the same
George
thing.
and the writer talked about that. That George, that's the reason George started the novellas with Dunk
I
and
wouldn't
Egg.
be at all surprised if they're doing something similar. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
So Dany having the fire protection is in the two instances that she needed the fire protection because she's needed later. So the
And Tris,
person that is,
the miracles are the gods, basically, or the players of the game. Also, there's
yeah,
some much forgotten time with Dunk, and that we've talked about. Preston always pointing out that there's a lot frequent loss of time. That happens to Dany in this chapter as well.
well, stop and think about it. I mean, we're still, if you came back from a drink or whatever, we're still talking about Knives Seven Kingdoms. You have Prince Baelor, after receiving the wound from his brother, walking up and saving Dunk's life because they were going to use the wrong thing to clean his wound. And he's like, no, use this. That will
Okay.
kill you. And then I'll
Okay.
send for my maester. And then you take the helmet off and then he drops dead. They needed
Okay.
him alive long enough to stop them from basically killing Dunk. And then he could die. So there are the powers that be that are playing this game have a lot more influence than just whispers and suggestions or bringing up a memory or speaking through dreams or in the Dothraki Sea, speaking through the wind. There are other things that they're capable of doing, and not necessarily the person right above this game. I say that there's layers to it, like 3D chess. You got the players that are moving the pieces that we're reading, the players that are moving, the players that think they're players but are actually pieces, like the Littlefinger, and then there's possibly another one above that. I mean, there's layers to it. The Littlefingers can't protect Dany with fire or bring Dunk back to life or all that kind of stuff. They're just using their influence and abilities to move people, and that's it. Now, the ones above them, the three-eyed crow and above or whatever, they may have more magic that they can pull off, like making Dany live through being burned and Dunk rising from the dead on the battlefield or in the tourney field. So that's just my opinion. I went off on a rant there. Sorry about that.
Yep. Let's not forget the very big spoiler from the actor's interview. Yeah, that's hilarious.
What did he say?
No. Dexter's like spoiling everything, and
yeah.
The whole time,
You're Dunk and Egg in real life. It was freaking hilarious.
Peter's like, no. It's like, God. Anyway, that's a hilarious interview. He just goes and spoils.
He's the Tom Holland of the Song of Ice and Fire world.
The woods were smoking. Dany saw one of the bolts burst into sudden flame. That's kind of interesting. She saw men whirling, wreathed in flame, hands up in the air as if caught in the throes of some mad dance. We see a lot of this idea of flames being dancers and it looking like they're dancing flames and so forth.
Isn't the pyramid people that they have dancing in the marine when the Yunkai come basically kind of make fun of her?
Yep.
Aren't they?
Well, she thinks they might be
giving off fire imagery.
I don't remember. Maybe wouldn't surprise me.
I can't remember.
Since there is so much of it, wouldn't surprise me. If I fall and die, it will still have been worth it. So anyway, she still thinks about that.
Mm-hmm.
Was that first flight 1,000 years ago? Sometimes it's seen as if it must be. That's
lost time.
Anyway, George. Dany's hair was growing out again, but slowly. I need a hat. You're the blood of the dragon. You can make a hat. That definitely reminds me of Aegon and Dorcas's speech.
Yeah.
So it reminds me of Aegon because he's the only two straw hats, really, but the only two wide brimmed straw hats are Aegon and Aegon.
Yeah.
The 5th and the 7th. See Trip the Targaryens, episode 3. They will have heard the talk, he'd replied. Naharis may even have boasted of your great regard for him. If you'll forgive me saying so, modesty is not one of the captain's virtues. He takes great pride in his swordsmanship. I just thought the part was funny.
Well, there, George again is referring to the sword and the
Yeah, swords are dicks, as LML would say.
Yeah.
By now, the young Kai will be marching home. That was why she'd done all that she had done, for peace. Her character's often wrong.
Nope.
It was not too late to go back. There were fish in the spring-fed pool by Drogon's cave. She caught one her first day there. She might catch more. There'd be scraps, charred bones with bits of flesh still on them, the remnants of Drogon's kills. No, Dany told herself. If I look back, I am lost. Anyway, we already mentioned that if I look back at my lost is at least twice in this chapter.
Yeah, but she does look back.
Once again, she does. She does look back a few times in this chapter. So once again, she turned her back upon the distant hill and closed her ear to the song of flight and freedom that the wind sang as it played amongst the hill's stony ridges. Anyway, I thought that was an interesting God speak, as you would say.
Well, we got another one here. It says, when the wind blew, the grass would sigh as the stalks brushed against each other, whispering in a tongue that only gods could understand. Godspeed.
Yep, that's what I'm saying. Take me to the river. That is all I ask of you. Take me to the river, and I will do the rest. Al Green approved this message. In fact, just to really emphasize it, he goes, the stream bent this way and that, and Dany followed, beating time upon her leg with the whip. Like, there's no way that he's not thinking about Green there.
There you
go. Anyway, take one step, take the next, another step, another. What else could she do? Like John and the Frostfangs and Sam fleeing the others, and I think we came up with several more of those once we went through the books. But it surprised me that it was first John the Frostfangs. It's so associated with Sam that you don't realize that that's actually echoing back to John.
Right. That's when I think of it, that's the one that pops in my head is the Sam one.
Absolutely. And I know we came up with a bunch more, but the first one that surprised me was the one with John because it was so clearly happening in the Frostfangs. I was like, oh, that means Sam was echoing this part as the first instance. But
Arya on the way to Harrenhal?
Could be. There's definitely, like I said, there's definitely multiples. But when we came across the John one, it was very clear, and I was like, oh wow, this is before Sam. When the wind blew, the grass would sigh as the stalks brushed against each other. That's what you already said that.
Yep.
Now and again, the little stream would gurgle where it flowed around a stone. Insects buzzed. She swatted at them absently. She came upon a rat drinking from the stream, but it fled. She heard birds singing. The sound made her belly rumble, but she had no nets. And so far, she had not come on any nests. She had no nets and had not come on any nets. Anyway.
Yeah.
Once I dreamed of flying, and now I've flown and dream of stealing eggs. Men are mad and gods are madder, she told the grass, and the grass murmured its agreement. Now, of course, Guy would tell us. Guy would tell us that this is actually Drogon already here, right?
Yeah.
So LML would say dragon dreams come from dragons, and our friend the Green Bard has a really good video on what's going on in this chapter.
As a matter of fact, I think I'm probably going to watch it again after we get done with this chapter.
Yeah. I mean, the summary is that it's mostly Drogon, that maybe the part that's obviously is Quaithe, but that it's mostly Drogon that's sending visions to her.
If I'm not mistaken, the ones during the day are definitely Drogon. Hey.
Historical tree.
Nice. New name, new visit. We appreciate it. I'm sorry the algorithm brought it to us. Hopefully you enjoy it. But yeah, I tend to, if I lean the way that Drogon is the one that's given, just like the dreams that she has in the tent when she's still with Drogon that come from the eggs, especially when they start feeling warm to her and all that stuff. But so if the dreams come from the dragons, the waking dreams, because she's so tired, she's exhausted, she's hungry, and I mean, I don't know if you watched The Long Walk, but there are scenes in there where they're just exhausted on their feet. One guy's elbow holding the other one, so he's basically walking while asleep. She's exhausted. So these daydreams aren't the normal kind of daydreams that we have. They would be more the brain is ready to receive this kind of dream.
Of course, can never turn down a Song of Ice and Fire discussion.
Neither can we. But these are her brain chemistry, the place where she's at physically makes her more susceptible to the dreams from Drogon. And I agree at night when she sees Quait's face in the stars, I believe that is Quait. But isn't it the exact words that she's been told before by Quait? So is it really Quait, or is it?
Or is it just a reminder of Quaith from Drogon? That's also possible.
Yeah, which we say that's one of the way people that are pulling the strings move people is by bringing up a memory. And that's the other way I lean on this, that somebody is using her memories of people to get her to the point to where Drogon comes back to her. And when
you might want to put a link to Guy's best video on this topic in the description or in a comment or something on this.
I might like
if you're gonna go look it up after this.
If I've never put a link in any of the videos or live streams because I don't know how, because I'm ancient and don't even know anything past text to talk or how to hit live stream on my Stream Duck. Well, I'll try to figure it out.
Do you think the Valyrian gods, like Vagar or Balerion, or maybe even the dragons, gave to Danis the Dreamer those prophetic dreams? So that's certainly LML's interpretation, right? That dragon dreams come from dragons, and that the dragons are the ones that are sending them the dreams.
I think that George said we'll never see gods in his story or something to that effect. I think that there's been a great. I agree with Quinn. When he's like the those that move the pieces, he's talking about the basically the great game that's being played for.
This is Quinn's idea, is not the GM.
Yeah. Quinn's idea. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to clarify that, but yeah, Quinn's idea.
Yeah. We need to just clarify that.
9-10 years ago video. That's really awesome. But there's a big giant game being played by things that we'll never see. And they're using people in our world like the surface of a Asoiaf game. And then there are players that think they're players, but are actually pieces. But even back before the Doom of Valyria, the game was still being played. The minute the long night ends, the next game, the board is being set up for the next game. I mean, it's just a long game from long night to long night. So these Lovecraftian deities or space whatever it is that's playing the game, they play the long game. So I agree. I think they're using the dragons to influence the people that think they have control over the dragons, but it's the other way around a lot of the time. So those that play the big game.
There's definitely this idea that the dragons are actually the ones that are smarter than the people, and that the dragons are, and
I like the idea that with the Starks, we have skin changing going one direction, but with the dragons, it's the other way around. The dragon chooses the rider, not the other way around.
And that is one thing that House of the Dragon has definitely been doing, right? Is this idea that the dragons can kind of rebel at any time. That the way Drogon's in this chapter doesn't necessarily go where Dany wants him to.
Well, she's not in the right mindset. If she's thinking of being a queen of Marine, Drogon wants nothing to do with her. But if she's thinking fire and blood, Drogon's like,
that's a good point. Yeah, much about her mindset. Much like the Dario versus Hisdar thing, right? Back to Duck, I think it's extremely important and relevant to Bloodraven, Children of the Forest Dragons, the chunk of Baelor's brain that was smashed out was the occipital lobe, part of the brain that processes vision and sight. Okay.
Huh. So it was smashed, so he shouldn't have been able to see anything or receive, or his brain shouldn't be able to flip it back over and process what was going on. Or
I think there's enough ambiguity in there that his brain could even be not actually, you know, just the skull. No, just the skull was smashed. The brain was intact and being held in place. And then when he took off the helmet, the brain fell out. Right. So it could be that he's actually fully functional. Anyway, there's deliberate ambiguity with George, right?
Smashed by the car, they're still talking and everything, but the second they move the car, the body's going to realize that it's dead.
Yeah. His helmet's holding it together. Says, yeah,
okay.
Yeah. I think I think that's one interpretation. Another is yours, that he was actually being, manipulated by the hive mind, the old gods, or whatever.
Yeah.
Or
now,
the great other, whatever you want to call it.
On the brain dunk back, it could be that in because I mean, people say their life flashes before their eyes and all that kind of stuff. It could be the image of Sir Arlen telling Dunk to get up that just kind of jump started him. I don't know. I kind of like the idea.
We got too much to cover, so I can't go into this as much as I'd like to. But I have some really interesting research on. Yeah, I've got some really interesting research on the brain that I wouldn't mind talking about here, but we can't do that right now.
She mentions in here quite a bit.
Well, she's so far off that he might have been an eagle slipping in and out of distant clouds, but Dany knew the look of him by now, even when he was no more than a speck. Of course, this is sometimes pointed to as proof that the dragon bond is real and so forth, because how could you possibly identify a speck? Passed before the sun, the black wings spread, the world darkened.
Can dream Nymeria from thousands of miles away.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, you'd recognize him. The reason you're recognizing him is actually because of the bond, and not because your eyes see a tiny speck, right?
Right. Same reason that Bran can tell the difference between the howls of the wolves, even though to us they all kind of sound the same, but to them it's their bond that makes it possible for him to know which one summer is.
And then Dany makes her nest by the wall, and the ants crawl over it, and so forth. Okay. As the world darkened, she wondered if Histar was still king. His crown had come from her. Could he hold it in her absence? He wanted Drogon dead. I heard him. Kill it, he screamed. Kill the beast. The look upon his face was lustful, and strong Beowulf had been on his knees. Poison, it had to be poison. Honeyed locusts. Histar urged them on me, but Beowulf ate them all. She made Histar her king, taking him into her bed, opened the fighting pits for him. He had no reason to want her dead. Yes, exactly. Yet who else could it have been? Reznak, her perfumed seneschal, the Yunkai, the Sons of the Harpy? I was never convinced until this reread, but it was definitely House Paul. I'm totally convinced now. I'm totally convinced now that it was House Paul.
Everybody but House Paul. And I'm also
totally convinced it's House Paul.
Perfume seneschal, I do believe, is the Stinky Steward of the boat.
The way he goes on and on about it, it's definitely one of the interpretations he wants. But I still think that's weird, because he's already told us about the lion, and the lion is clearly Tyrion. So that means she's being warned about, like you said, Makoro or Penny. Because she already knows to beware of Jorah.
Yeah, she says the Kraken and the Dark Flame, so she's already warning her about Makoro.
Okay. So it's Penny or Jorah again. Penny and Jorah.
Yeah.
What do you think about the theory that glass candles are used by people to give Dany or Jon prophetic dreams, and the reasons are all completely human and politically motivated? Yeah, maybe that's definitely possible.
I think that people that are using the glass candles, thinking that they're players, are actually pieces from the Three-Eyed Crow, people above them. That
Great Other, Bran versus the Great Other, or something along those lines. Sure.
I think it's a carrot kind of stick kind of thing for a player to move a piece on the board using the glass candle, or skin changing, or even if they're a low level green seer. finding out, because we're told by Littlefinger, finding out what a man wants, how to move them on the board. They're doing the same thing to the little fingers of the game.
Leighton Hightower, huh? Yeah, maybe the High Towers are so mysterious. It could be one of the High Towers, like Leighton or the Mad Mage, or the Mad Maid, Leighton or the Mad Maid. Yeah, maybe.
I would put the High Tower up at the top of for the last 10 years in the same ballpark as I do Littlefinger, as being a person that thinks they're a player, moving people on the board, but they're being motivated by the next level up above them, possibly.
Something. So that could be, for example, let's say that there's this great other who's basically this entity that was trapped in at the last long night or something, right? And then you could see there being a similarity. If let's say you've got time traveling Bran versus this trapped entity, for example, there's some similarity between the concept of a time traveler who can change the past versus somebody who can see the future and is from the past, and being able to see their effects on the future. You could see something along those lines potentially. Is it could be a chess game between two people.
The unstoppable object meeting the immovable object.
Yeah, it's interesting how similar those kind of could be to each other too, right?
Yeah. To the average person, they would look the same, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, it's amazing how similar those could actually be. So what really sold me on the House Paul thing is just the three mentions of House Paul in the poisoning chapter. Just it's kind of crazy that he foreshadows an attack and says it's House Paul, and then he introduces the Belwas's reaction to honeyed locusts, and then he shows you the reaction of House Paul, and then he has Belwas fall to his knees, and he tells you the reaction of House Paul, and it's like, okay, yeah. Like, they are highly motivated. Like he embarrassed their champion. Like yeah.
Wanted to know about House Paul, but here's the thing though: when it comes to George, if he says it once, maybe twice, I put a lot of stock into it. But when it starts to hit the 3 and above,
nobody's even noticed it. But it's subtle enough. He's subtle enough in each of those 3 hits that nobody even notices it. He's so subtle with it. How many rereads did you do before you even realized that there's 3 of them right there, right? I
didn't realize it till you told me. All right. I mean,
I know that's my point. Yeah. That's so subtle. It's like it's so subtle that people miss it. So it's like go to bed, so I can't stay, but pop it in to say hi. Well, I appreciate that. Both have a great day. Yeah, I hope you have a good sleep.
Enjoy your rest.
Off in the distance, a wolf howled. The sound made her feel sad and lonely, but no less hungry. As the moon rose above the grasslands, Dany slipped at last into restless sleep. Wolf symbolism with Dany? Clearly, this means Jon is a secret Targaryen. She dreamed all her cares fell away from her, all her pain as well. She seemed to float upward in the sky, flying once again, spinning, laughing, dancing. Stars wheeled around her and whispered secrets in her ear. To go north, you must journey south. To reach the west, you must go east. To go forward, you must go back. To touch the light, you must pass beneath the shadow. Quaithe, Dany called. Where are you, Quaithe? Then she saw. Her mask is made of starlight. Remember who you are, Daenerys, the stars whispered in a woman's voice. The dragons know. Do you? So yeah, it's very ambiguous whether that's actually Quaithe.
Yeah, but I think that gets on to what I was saying before, that Drogon only recognizes her. I don't know if you saw the Logan, one of my favorite movies, Wolverine. There is a younger version of him in the movie, but when the old man Logan kind of walks in the room, Professor Xavier doesn't recognize him. But when the genetically engineered, young, animalistic clone walks in, Professor Xavier's like, "Oh, Logan." The dragon is the same way. When Dany is I would have pleased everybody, Queen of Marine, Drogon don't want anything to do with her. But when Dany is the Fire and Blood Targaryen, the brain waves are connecting, and Drogon's like, "Oh, there's my mom. What can I do for you, Hut?" I
So
think that
historical trace is interesting. Wolf howls always make the POV character super nervous. This is an interesting change, mayhaps. Yeah.
man.
So we should probably spoil your opinion of us by telling you that we think that there's more than one correct answer when George asks the question of who is Jon Snow's mother. We think that there were multiple correct answers to that question. And his response, in fact, was I asked if they knew who Jon Snow's mother was, and fortunately they did, right? So we think that basically that's not necessarily that's a correct answer, not the only correct answer, and that Lemongate is very real, and that in fact we like the idea that Val is the oldest of triplet Targaryens, that Aegon or Jon would be the middle male child, and that Dany would be the youngest of the triplets, and that would put
redo the Conqueror and Sister's Wives, Visenya,
right,
Aegon, and Rhaenyra.
Right.
And Visenya being the oldest, meaning that Val was born first. Minute later, Aegon, Jon, whichever.
Yeah.
And then
so in the first book, she has a dream where she has to choose between becoming a fiery dragon and becoming, quote, icy death howling forever alone in the darkness. So she's half icy death howling forever alone in the darkness and half fiery dragon. So in this, which animal is known for being lone and howling? And the answer in this story is the wolf. And it's not most or everyone that the dragons are responsible for magic and or magic returning since Dany hatched her eggs. What if the others are responsible or together with the dragons are? Yeah, it definitely doesn't make a whole lot of cause and effect sense, does it? Right? Because we know the others are way before that, and we know that that you've got some magic already, right? Now it's becoming much stronger. Like the wildfire is stronger than it was, but it was still always working. Glamours were always working, right? Melisandre talks about how now she's so strong.
Magic is in this story from the first chapter. It's just we don't see it as much as until the story moves on and on and on. Think about the others in the prologue. Think about Jon hearing a wolf that doesn't make a sound while they're walking, or the horse hooves are going across the wooden bridge. He's like, oh, wait a minute. And he hears ghosts. Ghosts making noise.
So
magic all through the story.
So to continue with the Val thing. So would Val be Jon's counterpart or Dany's? In my opinion, Dany, because she's fire and blood and Jon's ice and snow. So Visenya is the oldest, as the oldest Visenya born again, as it were. She's kind of the ice queen person, and Dany is the dragon rider of Rhaenys, right? So she's the fiery dragon rider versus the icy, the ice queen of
Visenya was the warrior. Out of the two, Val and Dany, Val is definitely the fighter for sure.
Yeah. So she's definitely the Visenya character to Rhaenys as Dany.
But
so
other than unlike the trio that we think was replaced in the Tower of Joy, Val is not the slender warrior type looking woman. She's curvy and beautiful like Dany. Not because they're all teenagers, but that's the imagery we get from Val and from Dany. So it's I think it's
Dany in the first book, she has to choose whether she's fiery dragon or icy wolf. She has the vision of the great wolf in the first book. Later, we've got the Rhaegar is Darth Vader to Dany as Luke Skywalker thing, right? I mean, George tells you right there. It's like very, very obvious.
Rhaegar's armor, but when the visor's lifted up,
it's clearly a black visor lifted up to show Dany it's her face underneath the shiny black visor. It's clearly saying Rhaegar is your Darth Vader to you as Luke Skywalker. That's clearly what the author is saying. And now, how did we get to Val? Now that one's kind of interesting because when I was told it like all clicked, but but one of the things that people complain about with the Arthur Dane is Mance Rayder thing is that why would he be there? And the answer is he's there for a woman, a crown, and his cloak. And we're told that those are the three reasons. He's there for Val, he's there for her crown, and he's there for his white cloak. So yeah, the whole concept of the story is about the erasure of female inheritance, female equality, female rulers, and the Dornish law says the eldest born, if female, is the rightful heir. So as far as Arthur Dane would be concerned, he should be with the oldest female. There should be some reason why he would be going north there is for his white cloak, for a crown, a woman, and a cloak. And we're told those are the three reasons. And so once you realize that, it's like, oh, this is a story about female inheritance.
Right. And Val is overshadowed by everybody looking at Jon. Jon's reaction with Mance Rayder and making connection between Mance Rayder and Jon, and that's not the connection that was supposed to be the forefront.
Right. Well, that's the whole point. That you're supposed to look. It's supposed to look for the male heir, and it's actually
what my right hand's doing.
Yeah. Both hands and the other's end of the picture at the same time. So Dany is love and Val is duty. In a sense, from the, I mean, it's definitely supposed to be a Visenya versus
I like that.
Visenya versus an ice and fire parallel kind of thing. So the ice wife is Visenya, and then the fire wife is Rhaenys, and so they're supposed to be echoing them. Never thought about
George
the Vader thing. Cheeky George.
Comic books, definitely still.
Oh, and by the way, the three biggest. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but the three biggest the three most respected fantasy series at the time when George started writing this were, and it's kind of funny because it was right before Harry Potter came along and Game of Thrones came along. The three, if you look at old fantasy magazines, the three big fantasy series were J.R.R. Tolkien's Lord of the Rings, Ursula K. Le Guin's young adult series about wizards with a wizard school, and George's Mentors series about rape and torture and inappropriate for children fantasy, the Book of the New Sun. And please go to my channel, Asher's Trueborn Son, and watch the most recent video on that channel if you want to know more about this. But the name of the wife of the main character is Valeria. And no, it's not a reference to an obscure 80s movie. It's a reference to George's Mentor's magnum opus that was the most respected unsuitable for children torture fantasy series about a torturer. Like it's so Valeria is the name of the wife.
But that's the one he stole from the most.
Yeah, absolutely. Like he finds his pet next to a dead direwolf at the beginning. He's kicked out of his home, forced to go past an impossible. Anyway, it's all in there. It's in a short 3-minute video. Anyway,
yeah. Did you release it as a YouTube short?
No, I don't think I didn't know how to do that. It's basically I shot it vertical in 3 minutes, but I don't know how to I don't know how to say it's a short, so it's a 3-minute. Oh damn. Anyway, so Val is short for Valeria. So he's telling you right there that she's a secret Targaryen with the name.
And not to mention the Visenya starts with a V. Dany's name might actually not be Dany, might be Rhaenyra's.
Actually, if we take this off, you can see that Asher's Trueborn Son. That's my channel. So you're on the old New Dude channel right now, but Asher's Trueborn Son would be my channel. All right, where were we? So anyway, we got the ants. I did like the line. Viserys told her tales of nights so poor that they had to sleep beneath the ancient hedges that grew along the byways of the Seven Kingdoms. It will give much and more for a nice thick hedge. Perfectly one without the anthill. So anyway, I like that idea. So anyway, that's the wall. She talks about the wall being as big as the wall of Westeros to them.
And the ants are like what the players of the game see the humans as.
I could try eating ants. Anyway, Mario approves.
Yep.
And then she tells herself to eat the berries, and then she poisons herself. So I always thought that she was getting dysentery, but she's not. She eats poison berries. Um,
Yeah.
so that doesn't prove that she's not immune to disease. She's just not immune to poison. Um, then he found herself picking berries with both hands and tossing them into her mouth. Possibly a branch from leaping hidden fingers. Not necessarily a good thing.
I think that was done to bring on what happens next.
Okay.
The Dario baby, I think is
It's an abortifacient. Abortifacient. Yeah. You're probably right. That's probably what's going on. Yeah, you're right. Okay.
that's more hidden fingers.
My flesh will feed the wolves and carrion crows, she thought sadly, and worms will burrow through my womb. Egret says there are worse fates.
Yep.
Her still was looser than before, smelled fouler. Okay. She might, so again, yeah, she might be immune to disease. She's not immune to poison berries or abortifacients.
Now, I wouldn't say immune. I think it's like with the fire. It's kind of a little bit of plot armor from the ones playing the games that move her down the road. But I think that their blood being hotter, like I think 108 and above, it kills us. We can't stand that. With dragon's blood, making it up a little bit higher. The reasons that the Last of Us happen is the spores or whatever. They raise their temperature where they can work in to where they can work in the human body type thing. I think the same thing's happening with the Targaryens. Their blood runs a little bit hotter, so disease kind of gets burned through in their blood before it actually takes hold. But a strong disease or something maybe even a little bit magical to it might have a pretty good effect on them.
Do you guys know about parallels between Dany and Drogo's wedding and Sheba and Salty's wedding from Hindu myths? I did not, but given that Khal and Khaleesi are clearly references to Kali, that makes a lot of sense.
Well, I'm writing that down so I can look it up.
When she closed her eyes at last, Dany did not know whether she would be strong enough to open them again. Barristan approved this message. She dreamt of her dead brother. Viserys looked just as she last time you'd seen him. You were dead, Dany said. Murdered. Those lips never moved. I loved you once. Once, he said so barely it made her shudder. You hurt me. You frightened me. Only when you woke the dragon. I loved you. You sold me. You betrayed me. No, you were the betrayer. You could have had your crown. My sons and stars would have won it for you. I waited long enough. I waited my whole life. You should have stayed in Pentos with Master Illyrio. You want to wake the dragon, you stupid little whore?
Well, I mean, Danny dead on. I mean, that was your choice, your mistake. Now, what I could say in the people moving pieces on the board, his biggest flaw was his downfall, and it was used against him repeatedly the entire time that we saw him on the page. His impatience and all the slights and wrongs that were done him made him make moves, and I think that there's the theory that Jorah kind of helped with that.
Do you want to do the rest of it on Monday, or do you want to try and go through this?
Now the back part of this is pretty heavy. You might want to do it Monday.
Yeah, so this is the part where we've reached the part where you really want to quote almost the whole chapter. This is why I'm asking, because we only have 2 minutes left, and I was already like trying to skip through the paragraphs and things and just.
Well, we got off on side rants too and everything. Historical tree.
We do this whole thing. We're gonna have to do the last Dany chapter part 2, where Dany is based on Danu's Hindu goddess, who is seems a mother figure, also another name for Sati. Okay. Shiva's wedding process was full of savages and literal ghouls and demons. Salty's father. Oh, we're out of time. Part 2 Monday. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, we do. Historical tree. We do this on our lunch breaks. We do an hour, usually Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
And I wanted to talk about fatal acidity and Alzheimer's, but that's all right.
We might be able to do that Monday. Just all depends on how off we get. Mondays and Fridays are generally book chapter review, and then Wednesday is theory talk for the whole hour.
We're not doing a 24-hour theory marathon stream. It's not happening.
That made me laugh.
Kirsty's decided that earlier that we're going to do that. I'm like, no, we're not.
Yeah, one of these days I'm gonna get my wife drunk and allow her to let me. Well, actually, I'm gonna get the whole house drunk and allow them to let me.
I appreciate it. Historical tree. I appreciate that. I appreciate the knowledge drop. That's absolutely appreciated here. Sorry, Father took that for an insult. Yeah. After all that drama, Sadi literally walks into fire and is reborn.
Yeah, I'm glad you highlight these because when you go back to watch them, I can't see the comments unless we highlight them. If it's
there's some way to make them show up while you watch it. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, like I said, I don't know how to do that stuff. We've only been doing it for what 4 or 5 years. All right, that's Friday. As on every Friday, I like to thank everybody for joining us. Thank you for new watcher historical tree 325 excuse me 32.
Well, it adds random 4 digits to your name. You can take them off if you want to, but anyway, it's historical tree.
Yeah, historical tree. We appreciate you checking us out, Kirsty. I don't know about the 24-hour live stream, but
historical tree reminds me of another Robert Frost poem about how Stark. What's it called again? Generations of Men. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Yep. Y'all be good. Have fun. Take care. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you back here Monday for the second part of the last chapter of Dany. And that's
sounds good.
And bye.
Don't be sorry. I love learning about new mythology. Exactly. That's what I was saying. Knowledge drops are very much welcome in our comments.
Oh yeah, that definitely does homework. I appreciate it. Y'all have fun. Take care. And bye. All right.